Welcome back for another edition of Strengthening Oklahoma. This edition of Strengthening Oklahoma is brought to you by Pub W. Whether it's brunch, lunch, happy hour, or dinner, Pub W has it all. Visit pubw.com to find a location near you. Continue to put a bow on the end of the season and the 51-48 loss in Lubbock, Texas. A guy who had a big evening in Lubbock, wide receiver, Mr. Theo Wease. Theo, man, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Glad to be here as always.
Yeah, man, great to have you. The game did not go the way most of us had hoped it did. You guys fall in overtime, but man, the offense, it was lighting it up. You guys put up 672 yards, 48 points in regulation. Like, how good did that feel for the offense to be seemingly firing on all cylinders?
It felt great. Like honestly, like we just finally put everything together almost. Just like we've been trying to. We've been so close this whole season. So it felt good. And on that note,
So this season, I think it's safe to say that this season for you individually has not gone the way that you thought it would go. And in Lubbock, it seems like it all came together for you. It had to feel good to make those big plays, including the long touchdown. Like, did it just felt like everything finally clicked for you, or was it you just had more opportunities? What was it? What do you think led to the big night you had against the Red Raiders?
I think I just got presented more opportunities. And just this whole season, I've been preaching just stay ready for my opportunities. And I got my opportunity, and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, you made the most of it for sure. DG felt like that was as good as we've seen him. Did you think that was Dylan Gabriel at his best on Saturday night?
Yeah, this one and the Kansas game. I go back and forth. But yeah, these two, he was definitely on fire on Saturday.
What? Let me ask you this just to further. What do you think he was doing, or what allowed him to have the level of success, accuracy, decision making? Like, what from your vantage point did you think that he really did well to have the over 400 yards and 6 touchdown passes?
I think it got to do with the accuracy and the decision making for sure, and just he just got in a rhythm. And when he's in a rhythm, just the whole offense is just moving as one. So I think it was just him getting in the rhythm that played a big part.
It seemed to me like you guys really accepted the challenge that Tech was presenting. Like they were getting really aggressive from a coverage standpoint, almost daring you guys like, hey, run by us and, kind of throw bombs. What was that a discussion you guys had on the sideline? Like, hey, guys, they're playing a lot of 1 and 0. Like, we got to make them pay. Was that something that the wide receiver core and Dylan were talking about throughout the game?
Yeah, we actually talked about it throughout the whole week. Honestly, the past couple of weeks, we've been getting a lot of man coverage because we haven't been throwing the ball down the field and whatnot. So we just emphasized it this week or this last week at practice. Just let's get the ball down the field, let's get it to our playmakers, and let them go make plays.
There is a two-play sequence. I believe it was in the second quarter where you catch a touchdown pass that gets wiped off the board, and then they come right back and you get called for pass interference, and Marvin's touchdown gets wiped off the board. That two-play sequence, from your point of view, just how frustrating was it for those two plays?
Honestly, I could tell you about another play that just felt like just the refs were out to get me. It started with them thinking I was out of bounds again, and I was nowhere near out of bounds on my sideline first down catch. And then from there, it goes to the touchdown getting called back. Then the next play, I get called for offensive pass interference. So I just felt like everybody was just against me at that point. But it's just attention to details. I just got to be better when I'm doing my rev routes. I guess I should have looked away just a split second faster, and I probably would have got away with it.
You need to go to acting school, man. I mean, you need to act more oblivious. Like, what? I was in his way. I didn't even realize. Like, you got to sell it more, right?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
That's funny. Now, another guy that had a big night was Marvin Mims. right? And I know that, you and Marvin are very tight. You guys played a lot of ball together, but how about that catch? Man, what was your vantage point on that catch? And what was kind of your reaction when you realized that he caught it?
So like I was behind it. So like I saw him make the effort for the catch, and after he made the effort, like I couldn't see the ball no more. And then I saw when he rolled up, he had it, and I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be one of those games." I that's when I knew right there, honestly, that it was gonna be one of those games. Marv set the tone with that catch.
I thought so watching it on TV, I thought he pinned the ball up against his back. I didn't realize, obviously, until we got the other look, that he kind of batted off his back and then recollected the ball with one hand. Like, I don't know which would be tougher, but the level of concentration on that play, I mean, I'm guessing because I didn't catch passes down the field like Marvin and you, but what does that require to be able to pull a catch like that off?
Locked in focus. Like that's all I can say for that catch. He had some serious focus for sure in that play.
So there is, and I know you guys for the most part, kind of in the back half of the season, have stayed off social media, but let's be real. You guys are seeing everything that's being said. There's this notion out there and I would say it's a small minority of the fan base that don't think Jeff Lebby knows what he's doing as an offensive coordinator. What is, just by seeing your facial reaction, what is your reaction to some of those things that are out there that are saying, Lebby's not a good play caller and all that nonsense?
Well, we had what was it, 670 last game total yards.
672. 672.
Like 672. Like I we averaged 35 points a game. We got that one of the highest yards per carry a game. Rushing yard, we always dominate the rushing game. I don't know what more they want from the man. I don't know what more they want from the man. He's like, if you watch the game, you just see everything. You can tell he's phenomenal. He knows what he's doing. He's aggressive. Like, I love it. I'm just being honest. I don't know what the fans are saying, but I love it.
I'm with you, man. There's a lot of good from this offense. We've seen that throughout the course of the year. And I think the reality is it's tough to please everybody. I mean, it's tough to please everybody. And in a year when Oklahoma goes 6-6, they're going to point the finger of blame. And I would imagine the more you peruse, the more everybody's getting blamed. On that note, 6-6, you've been a part of some great teams, some championship teams. This wasn't that. If you can, just try to describe for us what this season has been like from your perspective.
Honestly, it's just the one thing I want to say is just I'm super proud of this team on just how we actually bought in and how we just built this brotherhood. Like nobody signed up to have a 6-6 season. Like nobody could have told me we were gonna have a 6-6 season, and I believed it. But just outside of the other than the football aspect of it, just I love just how the team just stayed together. Nobody really pointing fingers at each other because going 6-6 when half the people on the team only lost 3-4 games in college in total is that can get pretty bad. But the locker room stayed tight, and it's really just a big shout out to Coach V. Like he set the foundation. We definitely bought into it. We stayed into it. And the program's going in the right direction, and I can feel that for sure.
Yeah. So with that in mind, and you've talked about this before, but 6-6, nobody saw that coming, right? Nobody saw that coming. But you've expressed a lot of optimism for the future of the program under Coach Venables. Is that still the way you feel after these last couple of weeks and going and losing a couple more disappointing games? Like, are you still very, very optimistic about the future of Oklahoma football?
100%. Coach B still basically hasn't gotten a full off season with the team yet, honestly, and I feel like that plays a big part as well too. So they're gonna keep striking, and Oklahoma is gonna continue being Oklahoma for sure.
Okay, so on that note, bowl game. We don't know where you're playing yet. Have you decided? Are you going to play in the bowl game? Also, I wouldn't be right if I didn't ask you about this. There's reports out there, at least people are saying, that you're potentially going to enter the portal. It opens in 6 days, next Monday. Thoughts on the bowl game, and are you going to be entering the transfer portal, Mr. Wease?
For both of those, I haven't fully came to a conclusion yet. I just still been talking to my family, just trying to figure out what they think is best for me, what I think is best for me, and just continuing to talk to the coaches as well too. But I'm not in no rush to make no decision. I know I love Sooner Nation.
So, as far as the transfer portal, what goes into that decision? I'm just curious, and I'm not trying to, get you to say, "Hey, I'm going" or "I'm not going," but what do you kind of factor into that decision? Right? Is it just talking to family? Is it potential production and like your football future? Is there an NIL component? Like what all goes into you deciding whether or not you're going to put your name in the portal?
The main thing would be just the production aspect and just the opportunity aspect. Just to go out there and just fully show your full potential. I think that's what most guys go out there and look for. Well, in my case, if I was in the portal, it would not be for NIL money. Like I got too much passion and love for the game to just be trying to play for money. But yeah, that's what it would be, just for the opportunities and just that part.
It is fascinating because this wasn't available for players when Gabe and I were playing. And so I know that you guys have a lot more things that you have to work through, you got to decide on. And best of luck as you work through that with your family. Do you have like a date that you'd like to try to make a decision? Have you kind of set that date, or just whenever that decision comes to you, you'll make it?
Whenever that decision comes to me, I'll make it. I'm trying not to stress about it. I still got finals.
That's right. Take care of your schoolwork. But obviously a big and important decision for you. Appreciate you sharing some of that with us very much, Theo. All right, some fan questions here. Fan questions brought to you by Love's Travel Stops. Visit loves.com for more information on the nation's leading travel stop network that's headquartered right here in the great state of Oklahoma. Ryan L. wants to know, what is your favorite moment of the season?
My favorite moment of the season would probably be the Nebraska win. Just because it was our first away game together. And, the Nebraska environment is not just the easy environment to play in. They got like 100,000, and their fans is on fire the whole game. I just love how we responded too, because the first drive, their offense just went down, easily scored. We went out 3-and-out. And then I just love how we responded that game. That kind of showed me just what the team was made about.
Y'all's first drive offensively, that place was loud, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
loud. You're right. That was a fun environment. And for you guys to respond the way that you did and end up just kind of whooping them, that was the highlight of the season for me, because man, 3-0 riding high. I was feeling good, Theo. I don't know about you, man, but I was feeling good. Last question. This one comes from Henry S. He says, what is something that us fans don't know about you that you really want the fans to know? That's a tough question.
That is. Without trying to, I don't want to be childish, but in my free time, I color. It's real peaceful, honestly. I just got into it about a couple months ago, honestly, right before the season started. But yeah, it's really peaceful. I advise everybody to do it if they just get some free time.
Now I love that question. I've got to push a little bit. Is this like kids coloring books? Are there adult coloring books? And then another question. I would always, and I've got kids, so I color sometimes with them. I like to trace in dark around the outline and then shade in real lightly. You got any like quirks that you like to color with?
No, that's the same way. But I'm weird. I can't color with crayons. It has to be colored pencils.
Oh.
So yeah.
So is it
That's
adult? Like,
controversial.
are they children's coloring books? Are they adult coloring books? Like, tell me a little bit more about this.
It's probably a little bit of both. Like I'll be coloring a flower or something. I'll be coloring a building, and then it just go back and forth, just wherever my mind takes me.
I kind of like that. Gabe, are you a colorer?
I think so. I don't sit down and do it. Maybe I should. Things change once you have kids. You know, Theo and I we have kids that are the same age. So I feel like I got to try it now.
You got to.
Peace of mind via colored pencil. I like it.
There it is. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of something you didn't know from our guy, Theo Wease. Theo, man, it's been a pleasure all season long. Again, best of luck with your decision, your family. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon. Enjoy a week off and make sure you prep for them finals, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Big thanks to Theo Wease for joining us. And now it's time for me and my man Gabe to break it down. The breakdown brought to you by the Oklahoma Proton Center. It's one of the top cancer centers in the region using state-of-the-art proton therapy. Oklahoma Proton Center, more than a cure, quality of life. Theo Wease out with the bang to end the regular season. We'll see if he's back at Oklahoma, but over 100-yard day and really helped impact the Sooners in Lubbock on Saturday. You know, it is interesting just listening to him and talking to him and this new world that these college athletes are in. And there's part of me that's like jealous. Like, again, I would have never gotten any portal. I was very happy with where I was, but like to have that option, it's interesting. And then there's another part of me that's kind of sad for him. Like, it's like, I'm glad that I didn't have that option. Like, there were times my freshman year, it was tough. It was hard. Like even my sophomore year, things didn't go. I was supposed to be the starter my entire sophomore year at the end of my true freshman year. And I got hurt. I had a turf toe in camp and some things happened and it just didn't go the way I wanted. And then like my sophomore spring is when it all kind of clicked and started being able to play some really good football. It led me to a couple of pretty good last seasons. But if there was a portal, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. And I don't even know. Maybe they would have been like, hey, you know what? We'd like to open up a spot. We're going to bring in another veteran. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a different world now. I look at it from both sides of the coin where it can be really beneficial for players. And I also think it can be, you know, almost something that it is they're in place and it makes it more difficult for them to make the best decision because a lot of times the best decision is just staying right where you're at and grinding it out. But now there's all these options. And so now these doors are open and it gives you the opportunity to take advantage of that if you want. So I see it from both sides. It's not going away. It's here to stay. And I'm just going to tell you this, man. In about 6 days, the NFL free agency ain't got nothing on the portal world. We were talking with somebody, Gabe, and there's expected to be 2,000 portal entries next week. Like, gosh, that's just crazy to think about. And for all these coaches, you're trying to secure your recruiting class for December 21st, right? And now all of a sudden, you've got to be having conversations with your own roster. Who's coming back? Who's entering the portal? Who's in the portal? Like personnel departments, like it is crazy. It is absolutely crazy what college football has morphed into. And I got to be honest with you, man. I kind of like that whenever we played back in the Stone Age when there wasn't all this to worry about. This time of the year, it was like a bowl game and then get ready for winter conditioning. That was kind of it. There's just so much more now than there used to be.
Yeah, I don't even know because you got to remember, I switched positions, man. I went from thinking and I went to OU to be a blocking tight end. I knew that, but when Bob Stoops and Kevin Wilson came to me and said, "Hey, what do you think about moving to center?" I don't know what my reaction would have been if the portal would have been there.
Right.
It's like, oh, do I really want to gain, 60 pounds and turn into an offensive lineman? Or can I just enter the portal and go somewhere else where that wanted me at tight end or defensive end? I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have stayed at Oklahoma just because I grew up. I was born and raised an OU fan, and like I wanted to play there. But yeah, who knows what that conversation would have been like. I guarantee you the coaches probably approach those situations differently. Now they probably massage it a little more, and that's all part of college football now. So it'll be interesting to see what Theo does. He has not had the production, the opportunities that I think he thought he was going to have this season. So, I won't be surprised if he ends up kind of exploring his options in the transfer portal, but we'll see. But yeah, it's so different, man. And that doesn't even factor in the NIL piece. Like right
That's
now,
what I was going to say. Like
if you're a college player, why not enter the portal and see what you can fetch on the open market, from an NIL perspective?
That's what I was going to say. Like, I mean, we'd be naive to think that whether it's family members or representatives for prospective players aren't having conversations with different collectives, NIL groups. And like, what if somebody said, hey, pay you $500,000 to come over here and play this next season? We'll pay you 7 figures to come play. Like, we know this happens. I mean, it's not like, we know it happens. I don't know what I would say. I can sit here and say, oh no, I'd be loyal to my school. And that sounds great. I'd love to think that would be my thought process, but I also know I came from a low income family. And I know that 6 figures, even 5 figures money that somebody's willing to give me to go play a year of football. And maybe there's things that I'm not fully happy with at the place I'm at. When I think about it, would it cross my mind? Yeah. Like, so, again, so I'm saying like these players, I'm not trying to throw a pity party for them. I'm just saying there's so many factors that come into this, and it could make it a very difficult decision-making process. And Oklahoma knows it very well. We can go back a year ago, and these things happen. And to think these things aren't going to continue to happen, I think you'd be naive. I think you'd be foolish. So it's just the landscape it's shifted so much. And the reality is NIL, until student athletes become paid employees by universities, NIL collective, it's going to be a major, major motivating factor for a lot of players, both in recruiting and the transfer portal. And it's just a reality that I think most schools are going to have to embrace. Because it's not going away. And there's a lot of places that are set up and ready to thrive and ready to pounce and take advantage if and when kids want to dabble into that world. So I know I'm saying things that we already know, but we're about to start seeing this here next week. It's coming. And again, that's why it's hard. Like, we can look at the Oklahoma roster. Like, we may want to have a conversation. Who's going to play in the bowl game? Who's going to be on the roster? Like, who's still going to be here? Right? Like, you just have to worry about the NFL draft, like guys that may want to sit out to get ready for the NFL. Now you have to think long and hard about with the portal having windows, and some guys may play through the bowl game and then may decide to transfer after the bowl game. Some guys may decide to enter the portal next Monday and not want to play in the bowl game and may actually even wind up back at the same school. I'm not talking about just for Oklahoma, but across the country. It's wild, man. Wild West gets thrown around far too much, but that's essentially exactly what it is. And to try to navigate that both for players and or coaches, it's far from an easy task. I'll say that.
Just add that to the list, a long list of reasons why I will never get into the coaching profession.
You're right.
I'm good.
You're right.
No, thank you.
it's a different world, right? Like you just want to impact young people, win games, and still some core values, right? Compete. It is just it's so much more than that right now. So yeah, but best of luck with Theo and I would say for all these Oklahoma players, you know, I get it. Like I get it. You don't have to like it. You want all the players that come to Oklahoma to want to be Oklahoma Sooners as a fan, right? As a former player, like we love this place. We get what this place is about and what it's done for you and I, and how much this fan base appreciates and enjoys this program. But I also understand the other side of it, and I get that as these guys get with their families and their representatives, there's a lot of different things at play when they make these decisions. So I would just caution a lot of fans, you know, whether somebody gets into the portal or not, you know, don't take it personal. I don't think you should take it personal because the other part of it too, I think Oklahoma isn't going to be in the portal trying to grab players and try to better this roster. I think
sure
you're fooling
hope so.
yourself. Yeah, same here. Same here. I hope that the this recruiting class can stay intact and that the portal this year is plentiful. How about it for here's to a plentiful portal? Cheers to that, Mr. Ikard. Because the reality is that's the quickest way to get right. You know, we're seeing that across the country.
I think, and you know, just from pertaining to Oklahoma, I do think Brent Venables, he's about getting his type of guys, building the culture, right? He wants guys that love football. There are guys that are going to be in the portal that love football and will fit into this culture. Now, just got to go find them.
Yep.
Which is not the easiest task in the world, but I think we can all agree after the way that the season has gone, an infusion of talented veteran players via the portal would be helpful.
Would not be a bad thing. And
Correct.
by the way, love football, and we love that. Love football and show up ready to play your tail off. That would be fantastic. And that's really why, like, we'll get closer to the bowl game. We'll be able to break it down once we find out next weekend, you know, who they're playing, what it looks like. I think we'll start to get a better feel hearing from and talking to some of these players, who's going to be playing, who's going to be transferring, who isn't. So I think that'll probably clear itself up here in the next couple of weeks. But until then, kind of in this limbo, if you will, to figure out exactly what everything looks like. So it's fascinating times. Is that fair to say? Not just in Norman, Oklahoma, but across the college football landscape?
I would say no one understands how this new version of college football can affect your program more than Oklahoma. I think because I think OU was the first, like we're talking major blue blood program where you saw some significant talent kind of leave with the coach. And that's how college football is going to work now. And unfortunately, OU was kind of the guinea pig with the whole system. And we'll see. But now it's the portal giveth and the portal taketh, Dusty. And now it's time for Brent Venables and this staff to utilize it to enhance this program. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Totally agree. And it's very well said. Big thanks to Muse Growth Strategies for continuing to help us spread the word about strengthening Oklahoma. Reminder, you can subscribe to the podcast, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Check out our website, strengtheningok.com, where you can contribute and support our great athletes right here at Strengthening Oklahoma. For all the subscribers and the people that have been with us from the beginning to the people maybe listening to this podcast for the very first time, we thank you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you again next time right here on Strengthening Oklahoma.